So as we discussed earlier, the exhibition Intertwine is made of three movements. The first one in room 5 in the museum with figures, and then the second movement is actually spread out across the park with 7 sculptures, 7 roots that has all the elements in the exhibition, in this project, were made from a root system that the artist has found in the Mata Atlântica, the Atlantic forest in Brazil. The roots, and you have a perfect example here, are actually, as we will see later, with PEQUI tree, cast in iron. The roots have also an autobiographical dimension for Ai WEIWEI. When he was a kid, he grew up actually, and it's an important element in his construction, his own biography as an artist. His father, Ai WEIWEI's father, was one of the most important, if not the most important poet in China, but was forbidden to write due to the Cultural Revolution. And he was actually in exile, quote-unquote in exile, and sent to forced labor in the Gobi Desert. And as he was in the Gobi Desert, I think one of his father's first job was to take care of the forest, to take care of the tree. As a child, Ai WEIWEI would gather, bring home, make sculpture with roots that he would find around his living areas. Actually, I didn't mention also this autobiographical details when we were in room 5, that these red seeds that are coming out of the portrait of the artist were also seeds that WEIWEI found in Brazil, but also existed, or his father had some when they were in the Gobi Desert. And it was a proud possession of these seeds. So intertwined with the exhibition and the object, you have this element of autobiography that continue to feed the artist's work. The roots themselves, of course, there is an entire stories we can tell with the notion of the roots. The roots that are the foundation of a tree. This is where the nutriments are coming through. So the roots, like the seeds, are this vehicle to and for life. What WEIWEI does, actually, which is interesting to me, that he unearthed the roots. So he put the root at the surface. The roots are the part of the tree that we never see. They are buried. He reverses it and either bring us underneath the earth, but revert the root system, putting the down up, which I think also in his mind or in his work, this idea of pulling up identities, pulling up the notion of humankind is an important aspect of the work. But the root, unlike the tree that we will see later, he manipulated. Instead of just casting the root in iron, he actually took the roots that were gathered in China for, I would say, decorative art. Furniture maker use them for table, for decoration, and so on and so forth. What Ai WEIWEI did, and it's very visible here when you enter the detail of the root, he took the roots, cut them, and rebuild them, bringing together root systems that do not belong together. root systems that do not come from the same topography, from the same region. By doing so, he's creating an hybrid system, an hybrid root system. And actually it's quite interesting because when you look at them, when you spend time with them, you start to see this kind of monstrosity of the root. They became this kind of hybrid monsters because they're members. There is something about almost Frankensteinian about these roots that WEIWEI is creating a new entity, a new identity. What I also very much appreciate in this root is their sculptural nature. They are Baroque sculpture. They are maybe like the Baroque, the movement of the root, like the movement of bodies or the movement of architecture in the Baroque goes almost against nature. And these roots, even though they are totally, quote unquote, rooted in nature, they are not anti-nature, but they are post-nature. They are against nature. So I think it's really important when you look at them to see these cuts, these scars with dismembered. They are dismembered body, and I also think that whether or not it's a direct reference to that, but Ai Weiwei himself is not a dismembered body, but and he talks about it. He has lost his roots because of his status and the controversy around his work. Is not anymore able to go to China, to go to his home country. So he has been, as we say in French, déraciné. Is rootless. So for me it's also between this notion of the roots that he appropriated as a child, the seeds that were the pride possession of his father, and the idea that right now Ai Weiwei, who has relocated in Portugal, are almost the extension, I think, I don't want to over-interpret, but almost like another way for him of self-portraiture. So from room 5 in the museum, where he's there, on the floor, to these roots, these dismembered roots, these roots without a home, his own self is embedded, intertwined with all the elements of the exhibition. You see them grayish right now, because we just unpack them, but with time and erosion, corrosion, rainwater, they will little by little adopt this very red, rusted color, which is also very interesting to me, because when you travel, let's say in Alentejo, and you see the trees that are used for cork, they have this very reddish color. So for me, it's also interesting to see how these elements are here, outside of their home context, Brazil, but finding almost a spontaneous natural context here in the Park of Serralves and in Portugal. I mean, you need also to, we will over the year, because this exhibition will be installed for an entire year at Serralves, develop a series of programs, not only about the history of art around objects like the different sculpture that Ai Weiwei has trusted Serralves with, but also with the park, to really understand not only how amazing these objects are as sculpture, but how they resonate with the entire environment here at Serralves.